Quitting a job can feel overwhelming, especially if it's your first time. And depending on what's next, you might feel really excited, but you also might feel really nervous at the same time. This resource is here to help you quit professionally, gracefully, and confidently so that you can leave on a positive note and protect your future opportunities. So let's quickly go over what we are going to discuss today. First, we are going to cover what you are going to do before you submit your resignation. So this will include creating a transition plan, giving your notice, saving all of the important documents on your work computer or your work devices, and submitting your resignation officially. Then we will cover what to do after you submit your resignation. This will include cleaning and returning your company property, finishing any of your last action items for work, and your final goodbye. So grab your checklist, have it out and handy, and let's review the steps for how to exit well. Before you say a single word to your boss, pause. You need to do a couple of steps before you submit your resignation. So that's what we're going to cover in section 1. Let's talk about creating a transition plan and giving notice. So first, you really want to make sure you know what's next. Make sure that you have lined up your next steps, whether it's a new job, a full-time school opportunity, or maybe you're starting your own thing. Have a start date and a plan in place. Next, you want to pick your end date. So 2 weeks notice is the generally accepted standard. But if you can offer more time, it's always super appreciated for your boss. And just to give some perspective, I worked at my company for 5 years and I gave 2 months notice before my resignation because I knew that I had so many responsibilities under my role, my title, and I wanted to make sure that I did all the right knowledge transfer, which is the next step to build a plan for everybody who is going to take my role responsibilities and projects. So this includes writing down just all of your responsibilities, your tasks, any ongoing projects. Also, I think SOPs are great if you want to use Loom to actually walk through and explain different processes and standards for your work and your roles that you're passing off. And then make sure it's very clear about who they will be handed to. Make sure to check with your boss about this and to schedule time with those people to make sure that they fully understand what they are intercepting from your departure. This is really going to show a lot of great proactive maturity and leadership, and your boss and supervisors are going to super appreciate you for it. The next thing is with your boss and your supervisors, you want to share the news. So set up one-on-one meetings with them and review those transition plans that you put in place for your role responsibilities and projects and ask for feedback and input. So you've got your plans in place. You've also proactively made sure that you have developed what is going to come next after your departure, and you're going to them transparent, forthcoming with the transition plans in place, and you're asking for their input if they agree with this, if there's changes that need to be made, edits, adds, etc., so that they have a hand in this as well. I'm telling you, they're going to appreciate that whenever it comes to learning the news, and it's going to help with supporting you amicably for your next position as well. And then last here, after you have shared the news with your boss and your supervisors, you're going to want to share the news with your teammates. So set up those one-on-one meetings with each colleague that's necessary to train them on the new responsibilities and to let colleagues know as is necessary. So moving on to the next set of tasks, you want to make sure that you are saving your important documents. Download your resume, any work samples, performance reviews, any shout outs or praise that you received, only if they are legal to take. Be cautious to avoid downloading files that are proprietary to the company that are not legal to be saved on your personal device. So do not take anything with you that is confidential and any trade secrets to the company that you know are not allowed. And if you're kind of wondering if it is or it isn't, you can ask somebody, or most likely if you're questioning it, don't do it. Okay. And then last here, having done all of these items first, then you can formally submit your resignation in writing. Keep it short, professional, and polite. If offered, schedule an exit interview, but just remember, be honest but not bitter. This is not a timed event. It is your final impression here, and you want to leave on good terms. You don't want to burn bridges. There may be instances in some job resignations where you really want to burn a bridge. I'm telling you, don't do it for your own sake and for any future opportunities. Okay, so that wraps up our review of what to do before submitting your resignation. And the action items here are to carefully consider each of the action items in the create a transition plan and give notice section to initiate your quitting in a professional manner. Next, begin to save those important documents that are allowed to be transferred over to your computer and avoid any files that are proprietary to the company. And third, in writing, formally submit your resignation and conduct your exit interview. Once you've turned in your notice, your focus shifts to wrapping things up well. So let's go over the after you've submitted your resignation section. First up, we're going to talk about cleaning and returning your company property. Your company may have certain policies, so always make sure to check what they ask and recommend for all of their return and cleaning policies. This could be for equipment, technology, uniforms, access badges, keys, and any other work-related or company-issued items that have been your responsibility or under your care during your employment there. Make sure to wipe any data if needed, clean everything physically and digitally, and return them neatly. And then for physical workspaces, also make sure to collect all your personal belongings and clean the space as needed. Whether it's like your locker or a desk or a computer, try to leave it better than you found it. Finally, in your last couple weeks there, you're going to want to finish up your work strong. Try to complete all of your tasks or prep them for the next person, as we discussed for the transitions. And your coworkers are really going to appreciate and they're going to remember if you made their lives easier or harder. So try to be on the side of making their jobs easier in this transition, super seamless for them, especially if they're taking over your responsibilities. And last but not least, we have the final goodbye. So if you have any important colleagues and mentors that you want to keep close, schedule some connects with them. It could be in person, it could be virtual, whatever makes sense for the nature of your work. And then finally, just as a notice to any and everyone else and the people that you've already notified that you want to keep in touch with, send them an email, and you can blind carbon copy all of them so that they can't see who the email was sent to. But you can include every person that you want to send this email to, notifying them that you're leaving. And I always think that it's nice to add some sentiments about expressing your appreciation for your time working together and your accomplishments that you achieved together. If you feel like it's better to not send one mass email, you can always send individual emails. And I'll say this every time. I think it's important for you to be gracious and humble, thanking them for their time working with them, and make sure to leave them with a personal email, a phone number, and your LinkedIn profile link so that they can continue to reach out to you in the future and keep in touch. So super short and sweet, reviewing your action items after you have submitted your resignation. First, be diligent to follow up with company instructions for cleaning and returning company property. This could be, like we said, including equipment, technology, uniforms, access badges, and cleaning your workspace. Second, finish up your work strong. Leave a good impression with your final deliverables. And third, set up your final connects with important colleagues and send an email with your future plans and contact information to keep in touch as your final goodbye. To quickly recap what we discussed in this lesson, we reviewed what to do before submitting your resignation. This included creating your knowledge transfer and transition plan, giving notice to your peers, saving all the important documents from your work devices for any future engagements or opportunities, and then submitting officially your resignation. Then we discussed after submitting your resignation, what to do, which included cleaning and returning your company property, finishing out your work strong, and sending a final goodbye. So as you can see, quitting a job isn't just about leaving, it's about how you leave. When you quit well, you keep doors open, you show maturity, respect, and leadership, and you protect your own reputation for all future opportunities down the road. So take a deep breath, have this checklist handy whenever you are stepping out of one chapter into a new one. You can do this, and best of luck.